Hello, family. It has been a minute. I know. It has been a minute. Let me make sure that I am coming through um, for you guys before I dig in to what I want to talk about. All right. So, yep. Okay. Um, so I know it's been a minute. Forgive me. Charge it to my focus and not necessarily um my heart to neglect you. I know. I'm just playing. Let me stop. Let me humble myself. But no, I wanted to jump on here and really just share something that honestly, y'all, I can't really shake it. I can't really shake it because it's something that I have been kind of pondering on since this morning. And what I've learned so far in my life is that when I have I don't want to say a bombardment, but a consistent thought that comes across um, my life and I can't shake it, then 9 times out of 10 is because someone else needs to hear it. And um, if you looked at the title of what I want to talk about, um, I believe the best way to describe it is being able to leverage seasons of opportunity. And again, I'm not going to be on here super long, but if you're watching the replay, just let me know where you're tuning in from and definitely share this. I believe this is something that's going to help a lot of people. My intent is not to be here super long. I really just want to share a few tips that I've learned along the way, obviously, and evidently something that I needed to be reminded of this morning that is really just on me, right? So, how do we leverage the seasons of opportunities? Now, here's what's interesting because here we are. This is January 7th already, and many people have already fallen back on their commitment to make this year to be the best year that they've ever experienced in their lives. And that's not, something that's uncommon or something that's unheard of, but it is something that I think needs to be addressed because I myself have been guilty of that many times. And before I started to fall into this trap already of just going back to doing things, the way that you used to, I had to be reminded. I had to be reminded today. And so I want to share this insight with you about how to not let 2022 creep up on you in 2023, right? Because we hear it all the time. This year is going to be the best year of my life. But the challenge with that is most people, not you, but most people, they coming into the new year with the same mentality that they left the last year with, right? Or left the last year, with. So if you're coming into 2023 with the same mentality, then 2023 is going to look just like 2022. For some of you, that was a good year. For some of you, you wish things could have been better. For some of you, you're content with it. But I just believe that we were never created to live a life of necessarily just being stagnant, right? You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. Even at this time, right now, as I'm doing this live right now, I'm going through a season of opportunity. I'm going through a season of opportunity. And I wanted to make sure that I arrest the possibility of me falling back into the trap of 2022 before 2023 got too far ahead of me, right? And so I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people shy away from. And until this morning, even myself, I had to realize that even I was shying away from something that is very critical, but it's the missing piece, it's the missing ingredient to a lot of people's success, and that is your limiting beliefs. Okay, now before you tune me out, I want to make sure that you understand that every single person, I don't care how successful they are or how much success they've had in life or the lack thereof. Every single person has had and has a limiting belief. People have just learned, some people have just learned how to overcome them a little differently than some others, right? So limiting beliefs are real. Limiting beliefs are real, and I think we shy away from these things because we're afraid to address it. And so I want to share with you some things that I believe is going to help a lot of people. And it's because every single one of us have limiting beliefs. That's just the reality. Every single one of us have limiting beliefs. But all of us don't know how to overcome the limiting beliefs. So there's a couple things that I heard this morning just in my study and in my meditation. And I said, man, this is so good. This is so good because even myself, as I said just a little while ago, I'm even going through a season of what I call opportunity because I like to be mindful of what I say on a consistent basis. And if I say something, it's more than likely is because I process this thing and I know exactly what I'm saying. Um, and so when I say seasons of opportunity, I'm saying that understanding that most people will look at challenging times or times of crisis or struggle as just that. But for me, it's a season of opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to become more. It's an opportunity to be able to break through what could have been holding you back for many, 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 many years and sometimes decades, right? And so I want to share with you what was revealed to me this morning. And hopefully this is going to help break somebody. Not in a bad way, right? But it's going to break somebody from a way from a standpoint where it's going to help you break through what's been holding you back. Okay? So here's the first thing. Again, understanding that everybody has a limiting beliefs or limiting belief, okay? It may be a limiting belief about money. It may be a limiting belief about relationship. It may be a limiting belief about your value. It may be a limiting belief about how high you can go in your academic career or academic venture. It may be a limiting belief in business. Whatever it is, everybody has a limiting belief. It may be a limiting belief in your spiritual growth, in your culture, in your religion, whatever it is. Everybody has a limiting belief. Most people are too afraid, however, to acknowledge it. And so I want to share with you, for those of you who are bold enough to acknowledge it, I want to share with you what I believe is 5 keys. I believe it's five keys I think I put. And I'm looking at my phone because I want to make sure that I share something with you guys as well that that I heard the other day, and it was so powerful, so powerful. Um, Here's the thing: limiting beliefs is, yes, it's very common, but limiting beliefs are possible to overcome. The time frame in which it takes for you to overcome a limiting belief, however, is up to you. And this is one of the hard things for most people to really grab hold of when it comes to being able to break through limiting beliefs, is because a lot of times you don't want to acknowledge, and we're going to get into it, you don't want to acknowledge that you have a limiting belief, because to acknowledge that you have a limiting belief, probably now one of the limiting beliefs that you have in acknowledging it is understanding or thinking that to admit to a limiting belief means that you're weak. That's not the case. It doesn't mean that you're weak at all. So the first thing that I came to understand when it comes to limiting belief is that we first need to identify what that limiting belief is. Okay? You need to be able to identify what that limiting belief is. Until you can identify what that limiting belief is, you will not necessarily be able to overcome it. Okay? A lot of people say, "Oh, that's not necessarily true." No, it is. Until you can acknowledge the limiting belief, you are not in a position to overcome it. And so I need you to know that you have one. It's not a negative thing for you to acknowledge that you have the limiting belief. The problem is that you don't want to identify it because it's bringing up some things. See, here's the thing. When you identify a limiting belief, what that means is that sometimes you have to go back and revisit the pain. Sometimes you have to get so emotional, or emotions get involved to the point where once it comes to you, you like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that, because you're reminded of the pain that's associated to how this all began, which is what we're going to talk about, right? So the second thing, after you identify what this limiting belief is, you have to go back and actually acknowledge the source of this belief. You have to acknowledge the source of this belief, because the thing is this: there's a root cause for why you believe what you believe, whether it's your environment, whether it's your upbringing, whether it's someone said something about you, or put these thoughts in your mind as a young child. Um, Whatever it is, those limiting beliefs, they exist way before now. They existed way before now. And so you have to be able to acknowledge that. You have to be able to acknowledge that source, because acknowledging the source then allows you to go back and start the process of overcoming them, right? And now using them not as a scapegoat, but as I said before, an opportunity for you to grow, an opportunity for you to become better, an opportunity for you to become who you really created and designed to be. So, when you look at acknowledging the source of that limiting belief, again, you're going to have to go back and revisit the pain. It's really no way around that if you want to break through it. Okay. Some of us struggle financially because we have a limiting belief that we are not supposed to be wealthy. Some of us have a limiting belief that we're not supposed to be in a position where we can live our best life for real, because we were told at some point, or we were surrounded in an environment that made you feel guilty about wanting more out of your life. It's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all is wrong with you wanting more. As a matter of fact, I'm a firm believer that God desires for you to want more, to have more than enough, right? But I didn't always grow up that way. Okay. And so what I'm saying is, once you identify what that limiting belief is, and you acknowledge the source of that limiting belief, and again, you have to go back to that moment in your mind sometime and say, man, where did this come from? Why do I think about money the way that I think about money? Why do I think about health the way that I think about health? Why do I think about relationships or women or men the way that I do? Why do I look at the things that I look at? For example, right? Think about this, okay? Now, many men, not just men, but women, right, struggle with stuff like pornography, right? Where does that come from? Where does that come from? That came from a time in your life where you something or someone initiated this process. Boys, cut the TV down. That yeah, I'm live. That initiated the process in your mind to say this is okay. But as you got older and you tried to break that thing, it became a limiting belief for you that says, I'll never be able to overcome this. This is just my way of life. Maybe that's a limiting belief. So you have to acknowledge the source of where it came from. Number three, and this one is tough. This one is tough for a lot of people because you don't want to be figured out, right? And let's just call it what it is. Like, you got to stop capping about the blockage in your life. Stop capping about it. Like, if you have a limiting belief, be real with yourself, right? Be real with yourself. Now, this is not me saying, hey, go to your best friend or go to one of your trusted partners and say, hey, listen, I have this limiting belief. Now, can it help sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But maybe not all the time. Because if you have a limiting belief that everyone is judging you or everyone is ridiculing you about something, then that may not be the best thing to share until you can be on a path to overcoming this thing, right? So stop capping about the blockage in your life. The limiting belief is a blockage that's keeping you from being everything that you are supposed to be and go where you're supposed to go. But you got to stop capping about it. See, you can lie to everybody else. And this is the thing that bothers me personally about social media, right? And that is everybody can make their life look like it's the best thing since sliced bread, man. According to social media, nobody struggles. According to social media, everybody's relationship is just top notch. According to social media, everybody is built in physique and everything is just going perfect. But when you go behind the screen, when you go behind the filters, when you look at that person in the mirror, that person is going to tell you the truth. And he or she is going to tell you, stop capping about what's really holding you back. Y'all, listen, I'm talking to myself. Even this morning, like seriously, this morning, I'm sitting here and I'm like, Mike, you have some limiting beliefs that you need to break through. Why is it that you get to this point in your life and it seems like you come to a standstill, you come to a screeching halt? Where does that come from? And I had to go back and revisit that thing. And when it hit me, I said, ooh, got it. Now I know how to overcome it, though. I'm going to share with you in a second. I know how to overcome it. As a matter of fact, in my book, The Lion's Den, I wrote a whole chapter on it about limiting beliefs. I actually wrote a chapter in Cultivating Potential about it as well. Limiting beliefs is something that can either propel you forward if you utilize it and allow them to be used as leverage, or it can keep you stagnant. But regardless, the choice is still yours. The choice is still up to you on how you're going to allow those things to take root in your life. Okay. Now, so let's stop capping. Let's stop. You have to stop capping. If y'all can hear the noise, the kids in there playing the game. So what's the next thing that you have to do? The next thing that you have to do, and I'm almost done. I told you I won't be long. But the next thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to redirect your energy or your focus. You're going to have to redirect your energy. Okay. I personally, I can't function, and I don't function well in negativity. I do not function well in negativity. If I'm in a negative environment, I've trained my mind so much so where I have to remove myself from that environment. I have to. I just don't function well in it, right? Why though? Where does that come from? I know where it came from in my own life, but if that's you, or if you find yourself not wanting to be around a certain type of people, where does that come from? Okay. That may not necessarily serve as a limiting belief, but it could serve as a way to keep you standstill in your life. Because if you don't like being around certain environments, you may be setting yourself up to not being able to meet someone that can help you go from where you are to where you need to be. See, limiting beliefs are deeper than what most people think. We think it's just surface level. No, man, this thing gets deep. This thing gets really, really deep, right? So you have to redirect your focus and your energy. What I mean by this is sometimes you have to go to that place in your mind when you're not there physically. You have to go to this place in your mind and see yourself in a different position. See yourself in a different place. See yourself with a different circumstance. You know, God has given us the ability, and I've said this before, God has given us the ability to paint a picture on the canvas of our imaginations. Whatever picture we desire, He's given us the ability to do that. And we don't need permission. Oh, we don't need permission to paint a new picture. But it is difficult to paint that picture when you're in an environment that's conducive to feeding the negative or the limiting belief, right? You have to get out of that place. And the first place to do that is in your mind. The Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing meaning that it's a ongoing thing. Don't think that you can go to that place in your mind, i.e. meditation, let's say on Monday, all of a sudden, and think that Tuesday you out of this thing. That's called a miracle. Does it happen? Yes. But should you expect it all the time? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And that may rub people the wrong way. Parker, that may rub people the wrong way. Right? Because all of a sudden you're like, oh, you gotta, expect miracles. Yeah, you can expect them sometimes, but sometimes you gotta do the work. Sometimes you gotta do the work to create the environment for the miracle. So you have to redirect your focus and your energy. You have to redirect it towards what you desire to see and not what you are physically seeing, right? Oh man, I wish I can go deeper in this, but we have a whole course, we have a whole academy built for that, right? If you want some information, just reach out to me, but that's not what this is about. Okay, so you have to be able to redirect your energy and your focus. Okay, now the next thing that you have to do, and we kind of alluded to it a little bit, is you're going to have to change your environment. To some of us, again, the only way that we can do that is mentally. Okay, because we may not have the financial means to be able to just up and physically remove ourselves from an environment. And that's okay until it's no longer bearable for you to endure in that environment. Okay, here's what I mean. When Jock and I decided to move from Flint and come to Texas, we had no idea how it was going to happen. Honestly, we had no idea how it was going to happen. We had less than $200 between the two of us, but we knew that we heard God say it was time to go, right? Not knowing what was in store, not knowing where we were going to live. We didn't have jobs lined up, but we knew what we heard, and we knew that we couldn't prolong it. The more we prolonged it, the more that things began to dry up for us. Things that became easier for us to do all of a sudden became extremely hard for us. And so we had to change our environment. First, we had to picture what we desired. We had to come together and picture what we desired. After we came together and picture what we desired, we have to go there. We had to go there in our mind first. We had to redirect the energy and the focus from what we were experiencing to what we were expecting. We had to break through that limiting belief that that lack was a part of our lives. We had to break that limiting belief. And at that point in our lives, we had to physically break out of the environment. Even though we didn't know what that looked like as we were in motion. We didn't know how things were going to unfold. We just know what we saw, right? So sometimes you're going to have to change your environment. That's not always easy to do, but it is necessary. And then the last thing, and then I'll let you go, all right? The last thing that you're going to have to do, and I can't take credit for this, but I have to give credit to my late mentor, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, and he said this, and it absolutely changed my life. He said that someone asked him one time, how was it that he was able to travel the world, be successful in all these different businesses and do what he was able to do and still have a successful home life? And here's what he said. You have to, what I call POD, and that is prioritize, organize, and discipline. You have to prioritize your life. You have to organize your life, and you have to discipline your life based on the values and based on the principles that you know, this is me, that you know that God is telling you need to function by. Okay? Or whatever you believe. Okay? But you have to have a system in place that's going to allow you to consistently be in a position to overcome the limiting beliefs in your life. In order to do that, you have to prioritize your life based on what you value, based on what you believe, new beliefs. Then you have to organize your life based on those convictions. And then you have to discipline your life based on those things. When you do that, now you get in position to break through those limiting beliefs. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to help as many people as I can. So here's my challenge to you. Here's my challenge to you. If you're bold enough to do so, first identify what that limiting belief is. Okay. Once you identify what that limiting belief is, I need you to go back and acknowledge the source. This is going to take some time because a lot of times you have to go back to that place emotionally. You have to go back to that place where it hurt the most a lot of times. You have to go back to that place where that individual or individuals told you that you would never amount to anything. And once you go there, then you have to get to the place where you got to stop lying to yourself that this is a limiting belief in your life, right? You got to stop capping about the blockage. Once you stop capping about the blockage, then you can get in a position to redirect your energy and your focus to what you desire to see and not necessarily what you're experiencing, right? And after you do that, then you have to change your environment. First, mentally, which allows you to change your environment physically if need be. But it happens here first. The Bible says, again, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. ING. It's not a one-time thing. This is a lifelong journey. Be committed to renewing your mind. And then the last thing that you have to do is, again, in the words of my great late mentor, Dr. Monroe, he said, you have to prioritize, you have to organize, and you have to discipline your life based on the principles found in the Word of God, based on your values, and based on where you believe God is sending you. Family, again, I'm going to be coming on here more often. I know you probably heard that before from many people, but what I'm led to do at this point, and again, it's one of those things that I tried to shake it, but from experience, what I realize is that if there is a dominant thought that is just on me all day, then I know that it's not just for me, but it's for somebody else. And so what I want to do is every single week, I'm going to be consistent with this thing. Every single week, I'm going to come on here and I'm just going to share the principles that I've lived my life by thus far that has allowed me to break through a lot of the limiting beliefs that I've had. And I know that some of you have. I know it. I know it. I know it. And I want to help you get through it. So I'm going to be doing, and I did this before, but life happened, right? But I'm going to be doing a Lion's Den masterclass. A Lion's Den masterclass. Now, if you want to jump on, right? But this is not something that you necessarily have to sign up for yet. But I do want to come here and I want to help as many people as I can. So my heart at this point is to offer nothing but value. Nothing but value, right? And I believe that now is the season for me to release what I have apologetically been holding on to for years, that I've been knowing that it will break so many people free. But the reason that I was holding on to it is because there was a limiting belief that even I had to overcome. This is recent, right? This is recent. Listen, Jock even asked me this. She said, why haven't you been going live? Why haven't you been releasing content? Why haven't you been doing XYZ? And honestly, it was because of a limiting belief that I had, even about myself. Now, y'all, listen to me. I speak on stages and I speak to, like, I'm a speaker. I'm an author. I do this. But even in the midst of that, there was still a limiting belief that I didn't acknowledge in my own life. Interesting. But your boy done acknowledged it now. He done stopped lying to himself. He done stopped the cap. Every time he look in the mirror now, he realized on a different level now, like it's time. Let's go. It's time. So I want to help you break through it. So here's my challenge to you in addition to those 5 keys that I gave you. I wrote a book. Contrary to popular belief, I don't make a lot of money on books when my books sell on Amazon and all that stuff. I do okay, um, because any royalty is good. But here's what I'm really challenging you guys to do. Okay, if you haven't purchased a copy of Cultivating Potential Within Purpose, I want you to get that book. Okay, as a matter of fact, these 2 books. Okay. I want you to invest in yourself and get a copy of this book, Cultivating Potential Within Purpose. This book is going to show you how to release your true purpose in life. Now, I am not here to tell you what your purpose is, but I know how to activate that thing. This book is the very principles that I followed and that I live by in order to acknowledge, number one, what that purpose was and how to live it out on a daily basis. Okay. This is why I say that when you are living in your purpose, there's no such thing as competition. I don't compete with anybody. I don't compete with anybody, right? Someone said this the other day, and I think it was so powerful. He said, beware of society. Think about this. Beware of society. He said, society is nothing more than a system of normalized averages. Let that sit for a second. Society is nothing more than a system of normalized averages. My good friend, Matthew Harris, really good friend of ours, successful businessman, really just a top-notch guy, man. He said many years ago, he was on stage speaking in front of thousands and thousands of people at a business convention, and he said average is the enemy. And I never lost sight of that. Average is the enemy. In your life right now, some of you are deciding to live an average life because society has normalized it. And they have conditioned you to accept that as your lot in life. Therefore, it's become a limiting belief that you're not supposed to have more. You're supposed to be average, because for you to rise above where you are makes you arrogant. It's a limiting belief. And I want to show you how to break through that thing. Okay. I want to show you how to break through it. So get a copy of that book. The second thing I want you to do, the second book, is the Men's Mental Health Legacy Journal. Now, I understand it said men's mental health. The reason that it says men's mental health is because, number one, I'm a man, right? Call it bias if you want to, whatever. but the thing is, as men, we have a tendency based off of a limiting belief that we have to bottle in what we are experiencing, because to not do so means that we're weak, means that we're punk, means that we can't we can't classify as man. Like we everybody tell us man up, man up, man up, but we are dying inside. And so what this book allows you to do is, until you get to a place where you are comfortable enough sharing what you're going through, this mental health journal allows you to journalize your thoughts. But I did something a little different with this book, and I because this is how I live, right? What I did was, it's a 30-day journal, and each day and each night it forces you, if you will, to start your day acknowledging what you're grateful for. Okay, you acknowledge what you're grateful for, and then you identify 2 or 3 things that you are sitting, or that you're going to make as a priority for your life, right? or for that day? What is your top priority or focus? Okay. And then accountability is another piece. Again, I don't want to go into a whole nother training, but accountability is another piece. And that's what allows you to do, right? You write down, who are you going to reach out to this day that's going to hold you accountable to breaking through? To breaking through whatever it is that you're dealing with, to breaking through whatever your top priority or focus is for that day. And then you're going to write down 2 or 3 things or exceptional ideas behind what's going to help you get there. Okay. And then each night, you're going to end the night in the same way. 2 or 3 good things that happened for you that day. Then you're going to talk about the progress that you made. Okay. You're going to talk about the progress that you made and the challenge with it. And then you're going to talk about tomorrow. Remember, I told you that you have to change your environment, and it starts here. When I say you're going to talk about tomorrow, it gives you an opportunity to actually write down why tomorrow is going to be a phenomenal day, right? So my challenge to you is to do that. Okay. You can go to MikeLewisInc.com and you can actually order those right there on the website. Okay. Now, that's it for me. Hopefully, this was something that you can take with you and that you can apply. If you need some extra discussion about it, reach out to me. I want to help. I really, really do. I want to help. I get it. Listen, let me say this to you. Nobody's perfect. Not one person is perfect. Nobody. Stop believing the lie that what you see on social media is real life. People are hurting. People are struggling. And 9 times out of 10 is because they have and had held on to a limiting belief. But I encourage you right now that now is the time for you to break through it. So identify what it is. Acknowledge the source of it. Stop capping about it. Redirect your focus and your energy. Change your environment. And prioritize, organize, and discipline your life based on what you desire to see and not based on what you're experiencing. With that, as always, I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you for listening. Go back and watch this as many times as you need to. Take notes. Reach out to me. I want to help. If you're watching a replay, I appreciate you watching the replay. If you believe that this will be value added to somebody, then share this. It's time to break through. 2023 is going to be just like 2022 unless you change your limiting beliefs. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let's get ready to go through the lion's den together. Every week I'll be posting this when I'm going to do it. But every week I will jump on here and let's get this work done. All right. Love you guys. As always, you already know how I do it. When you are living in your purpose, there's no such thing as competition. Until next time, God bless. Take care.